A Russian-owned super yacht has set sail from Fiji.
Its departure from the country marks the end of weeks of ongoing U.S. efforts to seize the $300 million vessel. Fiji's Supreme Court cleared the U.S. to take the Ahmadiyya, a nearly 350-foot luxury ship, earlier today. A lawyer for the holding company the ship is registered to contested this seizure warrant for weeks. The yacht's crew also refused to set sail to the U.S. The Justice Department targeted the Ahmadiyya's seizure to punish Russia following its invasion of Ukraine.
Joining us now is CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates. He wrote an article for CBSNews.com about the super yacht's seizure. Graham, welcome. It's so great to have you here. This is almost like a mini-series. You know, you can see it on Netflix or something, right? The drama is so interesting. So can you explain the legal saga responsible for the long delay in the U.S. getting control of this yacht?
Sure. So this all played out in the last month, and it was like a series of legal setbacks for the U.S. and also almost like human resources disputes. On the one hand, the lawyer for the ownership of the yacht was challenging our warrant all the way through Fiji's courts up to their Supreme Court. And in the meantime, the U.S. was trying to negotiate with the ship's crew to get them to sail the boat and our officials back to the U.S. from Fiji, and they were refusing to. They made two basic arguments. The first is the U.S. had seized assets going to the ship, so they couldn't get paid. And the second thing was they had a contract with the ship's original ownership, and they said sailing for the U.S. would have been a breach of contract and could have harmed their reputations within the yachting industry. So in the end, we had to hire an entirely new crew just to get this ship out of Fiji.
So, and you were explaining, Graham, these are not ordinary ship's crews. They're very sort of specific to this particular kind of super yacht.
Yeah, so in court documents in Fiji, there's actually a lot of discussion about resumes for the various yacht personnel.
Wow.
They have to be able to manage the ship, not just sailing a ship the size of a football field from Fiji to the U.S., but also there are like fine silks aboard. There's a mosaic tiled pool, all of this really valuable stuff that they had to make sure that it didn't degrade over time. And that's important because we ultimately do want to sell the ship in order to benefit the Ukraine war effort.
So interesting. So why did Fiji's Supreme Court in the end rule in the U.S.'s favor today? What was the argument of, our side?
So the justices said two things. The first is that it was expensive to keep it in Fiji, and they said it was kind of just a waste of government resources there. And then the other thing was they said in order for that country to keep up its international obligations, it had to ultimately recognize our warrant. It said it didn't really matter to the courts in Fiji whether the owner was the sanctioned oligarch we said it was or some other guy. They said that's for the American courts to figure out. We need to get rid of this thing.
This thing is just causing a drain on our resources. That makes sense.
Yeah, and so legally, I mean, you touched on this a moment ago, but how exactly does this seizure of a super yacht punish Russia for its war in Ukraine?
The first thing is it's worth $300 million. It's tied to a sanctioned gold mining oligarch named Suleiman Karimov. And he's a close ally of Vladimir Putin, so this puts a little bit of pressure on Putin. And then the other thing is, if right now there's legislation that has passed the House of Representatives, it's supported by President Biden, but hasn't gone through the Senate yet. But their goal is to sell the yacht and give those proceeds to the war and recovery effort in Ukraine.
And so a really quick question about this replacement crew, because, the understanding is that there's so many sort of fine things on this yacht that need special treatment. Does this replacement crew know all the ins and outs of this special super yacht?
The captain, the original captain, said in a court affidavit that he kind of reviewed them and he thought that they were up to snuff. They're being led by a captain who had previously been a captain of this exact yacht. So he said at this time he was satisfied that it'll be taken care of. But it's really interesting. In the beginning, there were people coming aboard that he said he wasn't so thrilled about. So something happened over the last month where this new crew is now acceptable.
They upped the quality level.
Who knew? We're learning so much about the world of super yachts.
That's
Graham
right.
Cates, thank you so much, Graham.
Thank you.